it's Crystal with birthingunconsciouschoice.com. Today I want to talk a little bit about something that I don't think is talked about enough at the end of your pregnancy, and that is prodromal or false labor. Personally, I don't like the term false labor because, it sounds like you're making it up or something. Of course you're not. False labor contractions can be very powerful and very convincing. And prodromal labor kind of just means prolonged labor. In other words, contractions and sensations that are ongoing, pretty convincing, make you want to call your birth team in, your midwife, your doula, go into the hospital, get checked, whatever it is. And but they don't progress like a typical labor pattern would. In other words, resulting in baby coming without interventions. A lot of times, prodromal labor will cause a woman to go into the hospital a little too soon, and maybe she's been having contractions for many hours or all night, and they typically say if they're 5 minutes or less apart and a minute or more in duration, then go ahead and come in. But that's just a typical pattern. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be your body's pattern. Some women never get there. Some women get all the way to pushing stage with contractions 10 minutes apart. And sometimes prodromal labor contractions can come very fast and furious, a minute and a half apart, and still labor is not forthcoming. So things that you can do, one of the best prescriptions that you can do for yourself, providing it's not contraindicated in any way, you can take a warm bath and have half a glass of wine, maybe an ounce or two, just a small amount, not the whole bottle, just a very small amount of wine or beer, and a warm bath. There was a paradox about the beginning of labor and and contractions, and the paradox is the more you try to intervene and speed up and do things to bring on labor, the more you have to try, the less likely it is that labor is actually imminent. Because if your body's not ready, all the interventions, all the natural inductions, natural remedies to start labor, you can try, 25 of them, and they're just not going to work if your body's not ready, if your baby's not ready. Your baby actually produces a hormone once its lungs are fully developed and ready to come out of the womb. And this hormone is picked up by your body and sends signals to your brain to actually start labor. So there's a very complex interplay. I mean, this is just one thing. There's a very complex interplay of things that work together to let your body know, okay, baby's ready, mama's relaxed, this is a good time to start labor, let's go. One thing that is talked about is, how fear can kind of hold you back. And I think there's a paradox, again, of women who they're really eager to meet their baby, but they're also kind of scared of what labor will bring. And so they're kind of sitting on the fence. They're not sure, they're like, I really want to do this, but I'm really kind of scared. I'm not sure. And so they're having kind of a subconscious butting of forces inside their mind and their emotions about whether or not their body will allow labor to start. So aside from getting your head clear and getting your emotions kind of in a relaxed, receptive state. Some of the things that you can do are to just take care of yourself. Make sure that you're well rested. Make sure that you're hydrated, because dehydration can cause Braxton Hicks contractions, which are not going to bring on active labor. And make sure that you're, eating enough healthy, good food. Honor your body. I think some women get so kind of caught up mentally and emotionally in the whole "is this it? Is this it? Is this it?" game, that they forget in the last days or weeks of their pregnancy to really continue to nurture themselves and take care of their body. And doing this is more likely to bring your body into a state where labor will start naturally. And I can talk about natural induction methods. Being someone who has 43-week pregnancies, I have tried a lot of them. However, I cannot wholeheartedly recommend any natural induction remedies for you, for the sole reason of the more likely that your body is ready to go into labor, then you're not really going to need any inducing, not very much. Versus, you can take a bottle of castor oil or something, which is a very harsh remedy that would start labor. It starts labor by emptying your bowels, and it is kind of violent and harsh, and I would not recommend it. However, even if you would do something that was, that harsh, sometimes it still will not start your labor if your body is just not ready. Of course, on the flip side, there are, other women whose bodies are very sensitive to things that bring on labor. And so even something like, smelling clary sage oil, which is a contraction stimulant, might be a concern for them before 37 weeks. So you've got to make sure that you are aware and honoring your body's needs, because your body will just be ready. And of course, it's really hard to make that call one way or the other. So I leave that up to your care providers and your midwives. But know that there are plenty of things that you can do to either bring on contractions or to just ripen your cervix. If your cervix is not ripe, contractions will not be as effective in opening, effacing, or dilating your cervix. And effacing is a word that means thinning, so your cervix is going to thin out, get more flat. And then dilation is, of course, the opening. And knowing these things will help you to kind of keep an even mind, keep an even temper through what can be a long and arduous process of prodromal labor. You might be having, warm-up contractions for many days or weeks, and it isn't always helpful for you to think that you're in labor again and again and again. And don't be disappointed in your body if you're not in labor, because your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's warming up, so that the more warm-up contractions you have, you can think of it like your body is just preparing for labor, and so the real thing will be easier once it comes. So don't get disheartened, and don't hesitate to call your care providers. Like I said, it's different for everyone. People will tell you, oh, you'll just know when you're in labor. You might not know. So that's a little bit about prodromal labor, or false labor, and how to tell if it's time to call your care provider.